After what has been a compelling season so far, the final round before the summer break takes us to Hungaroring. The return to the regular format, a 70-minute race today, a 60-minute race tomorrow. We, of course, went endurance racing last time out at Spa, and that has had an effect on the championship. Certainly, the Oregon team, Lamborghinis, have suddenly leaped forth in the championship battle after misfortunes for Nick Moss and Joe Osborne of the Optimum Motorsport McLaren team. You see, as always, we've got a strong grid of GT3 machinery here for the International GTOpen weekend. 70-minute race, mandatory pit stop in the middle. Driver changes for a majority of the field. 2 solo drivers out there on the circuit in the form of Janos Shanta and Giuseppe Cipriani, but by and large the cars are shared and the racing is always fabulous. It was Leonardo Pulcini, though, who was the strongest of all in qualifying. Just the one set of tyres used in the quali session, was very confident in his own abilities to get a quick lap time, and a quick lap time he did indeed get. And George Morgan alongside me here again, as always. Leo and his teammate Ben Jahites are surely favourites coming into this one.
Wonderful display in qualifying, and as you alluded to, the sole set of tyres only used, which was absolutely superb. A great bit of work by the team. Obviously, Leonardo Pulcini getting the car onto pole position just ahead of Adam Christodoulou. Great weekend lining up here once again for Oregon in total, because of course Kevin Ghilardoni second row with the third place spot just ahead of Moritz Kranz, who joins him on the same row. And you know, you've got to feel good about Oregon at the moment. They're coming off the back of a wonderful weekend at Spa-Francorchamps. A month later now, we are here at Hungary, and they're once again delivering. Leonardo Pulcini showing exactly why he and Ben Jahites are topping the championship classifications right now. And I have to tell you, it'll only keep going as long as they can keep this up.
Yeah, non-score last time out at Spa, hampering what was previously looking like a hugely strong campaign for Optimum Motorsport, Nick Moss and Joe Osborne. Of course, a long way to go in this championship season. We are just on the precipice of a bit of a break for the series before we return in September at the Red Bull Ring, and then it's a bit of a European tour through Italy and then to Spain for the season finale following the Red Bull Ring. So still lots of time for the championship balance to swing one way or the other. But for now, certainly that combination of Hites and Pulcini at the top of the points and at the top of the grid for this one on the pole position. Adam Christodoulou, of course, on the front row of the grid in the Pro-Am Mercedes, the FIBA Motorsport car. And we know that Adam is always one of the feistiest and fastest drivers out there, and he and Rima will be looking to try and get themselves yet another overall podium, of course. They've achieved the overall podium already this season in their Pro-Am car. Rima Jafali getting stronger each and every weekend. And of course, Adam Christodoulou, one of the best GT drivers you can find out there.
Absolutely, he showed his pace as well. 8,000ths he was away from our pole sitter, Leonardo Pulcini. And he felt confident. He felt after the 8,000ths, I can go out again, try and challenge it. But unfortunately, a little mishap in the middle sector. Despite going faster in sector 1, it was all ripped away from him when he had to avoid a spinning car. I'm not quite sure who it was in the end, but in the end, it did cost Adam Christodoulou his chance at laying claim to the top position. But no question as to who's on top. It's this man. It's Leonardo Pulcini. He starts on pole.
Yeah, Pulcini at the head of the order then. He'll be looking to defend wildly into the first corner. Of course, it's a tight first turn here at the Hungaroring, and often can cause fireworks with everyone trying to find room in these big closed wheel GT3 machines. Christodoulou will be looking to start strong from the outside of the first row of the rolling start. Kevin Ghilardoni, the Swiss driver who has been racing with Oregon for a decade, of course, used to race in the Renault Megane Euro Cup with the Oregon team a long time ago, so a long-standing partnership. Of course, Oregon team's first season in GT3 machinery here in the International GTOpen, and great to see them doing so well. Moritz Kranz well up the order as well, the Nürburgring specialist from Get Speed Performance. They're in 4th place, along with Janine Schoffnen. a return to the championship for Valentin Pierberg, and he's brought along this man, Dominic Baumann, as his new co-driver. Baumann, one of the most potent drivers in the AMG GT3 stable. Axel Jeffries, once again with a strong qualifying. He kept teasing the front row of the grid, but he was suffering for some track limits violations, getting his lap times deleted out on circuit. And then this man, Nick Moss, who obviously is a bronze driver but chooses to enter the pro class. He had the audacity to be the quickest person out there on Friday, set the fastest time of anybody in the free practice sessions, and I'm sure he'll be looking to make up places before handing over to Joe Osborne.
Yeah, absolutely. A good start is what's needed for Nick Moss. He'll be pleased with that P7 to get things underway. He'll try and tee up a good, promising performance for his teammates. Of course, we just saw Steve Jans as well. Here's Florian Scholzer as part of Team GT, starting P9 as well. They'll be looking for a big start too, with Alan Valente, who will take over from him when the driver changes open up. Next to them, they've also got Erwin Zanotti in the Kessel Racing Ferrari, position P10, and they, of course, will be getting right into the thick of it too. Big start again for these two, and certainly give them every bit of hope and chance to succeed here at Hungary. Obviously, turn one provides opportunities for everybody. Do we have a look at the highlights?
So then, the highlights from Spa last time out. Keep an eye on that number 72 McLaren here at the first corner. Receives a tap from the Team GT number 33 car and sent into a race-ending incident there. Damage to the rear of the McLaren and huge damage to the front of the Mercedes as well. Both cars were in retirement after that. There was a bit of a moment for Adam Christodoulou, the Singha Porsche of Earl Bamber, getting together with Christodoulou. That would prove to be the end of the race for Thiba Motorsport. Unfortunately, Kevin Giardoni making his way through the order along with Glenn Van Berlo, and further issues with the Porsche crew. They really did have a trial-heavy run through Spa-Francorchamps. The guesting team from Haupt Motorsports, Frank Bird, Jordan Love, tried to get the best of Oregon Lamborghini. They were having absolutely none of it, especially Glenn Van Berlo, who was at the wheel of the 19 at the time of that slight collision. It was the 63 crew that took the victory last time out, and now they are on pole position for today's race. And as we've alluded to, the championship standings have fallen very much in their favour now. 10 points of advantage between themselves and Giardoni and Van Berlo in the sister number 19 Oregon Lamborghini. A non-score for the McLaren last time. So the formation lap has already begun in earnest then for these GT3 machines. Let's talk you through the grid in full. It is going to be Leonardo Palcini starting from pole position along with Adam Christodoulou on that front row of the grid. Kevin Gialdoni for Oregon team and Get Speed's Moritz Kranz on row 2 of the grid. 5th and 6th place, meanwhile, for Dominic Baumann, the number 20, and Axel Jeffries in his Kessel Ferrari. Great to have Baumann back along with Pierberg in this weekend. Nick Moss starting from 7th on the grid alongside Steve Jans. And then the top 10 rounding out by Florian Scholzer, and the fastest of the AM drivers, Erwin Zanotti, who of course teams with the Doc, Stephen Earle. Adam Osaka, 11th on the grid, the boss at Get Speed, and he's joined by Denis Waszek, the driver from the Czech Republic, joining us from Racing. Trevor continuing down the grid to see a return for Baporo. Giuseppe Cipriani in 14th place. Then Alexander Krakowina and Marcin Jedlinski, 15th and 16th. Pascal Bachmann, the Street Art Racing Aston Martin. He's joined for today by Julian Darras, and he lines up alongside Dexter Muller. Murat Hadaroglu in 19th place, and then it's Janos Santa behind him. The local legend, the Hungarian driver, starting from 20th, Stanislav Jedlinski, rounding out the 21-car order. As you may be familiar with from Paul Ricard, Pascal Bachmann raced on his own last time in the Street Art Aston. He's got Julian Darras with him this weekend, as he's feeling a bit poorly, fighting a little bit of an illness, and so he's decided to move up to Pro-Am and give himself a bit of a break, only doing half of the race and sharing with a co-driver for the first time this season. The cars are already in 2x2 formation, and Polcini and Christodoulou are almost rubbing doors already. Maybe that's a statement of intent and a sign of things to come. Let's watch with bated breath then as the safety car peels off and we get ready for 70 minutes of racing. Leonardo Polcini, it is on the inside, on the pole position for Oregon Racing Team Lamborghini. The team that has taken to GT3 competition like a duck takes to water after several years running Lamborghini Trofeo cars. Their two cars lead the championship at the moment. Oh, Polcini has absolutely darted off from the start. And he has a huge through behind him into second place. Has gone Kevin Giardoni as well. Adam Christodoulou, I think, was rather caught off the trigger there for a moment. And now he's got Moritz Kranz trying to go around the outside of him. Further back, Marcin Jedlinski trying to go around the outside in the Olymp Audi, another of the Pro-Am favourites there. Jedlinski and, of course, Karol Bash. We on board with Dexter Muller, who's following Alexander Krakowina. It seems as though everybody's cleanly through the first couple of corners, but George Polcini there took off well before anyone else.
Yeah, superstar from Polcini. Great start for teammates as well. Kevin Gilardoni managed to slot into second place, and Team Oregon lighting things up at the top. And the start, we can confirm, folks, is under investigation. So I tell you what, there could be some repercussions from this one. We'll have to keep you posted on it. But currently, as it stands, it's Polcini on top, Gilardoni in second, Christodoulou not quite ready for the jump, we don't think, though it is under investigation, as we alluded to. Could be greater groundwork required in this situation, as we now watch now as Marcin Jedlinski heads through this next stride. He is currently peppering the rear there of Giuseppe Cipriani right now, trying to find a way through. He did go around the outside around turn one, but wasn't able to quite make it work, but nevertheless still in the fight.
Yeah, the red lights were still on when Polcini disappeared away from the rest of the pack. Had a feeling that might be discussed, and sure enough it is. Marcin Jedlinski under pressuring, I should say, Cipriani, as George rightly said. Giuseppe Cipriani, of course, running the car, I believe still the borrowed chassis from Imperiali Racing after his original chassis was written off at the season opener at Estoril. Great to have Giuseppe running with us again. And Giardoni there in second place, ahead of 1, 2, 3 Mercedes. And here comes Steve Jans at the inside of Nick Moss. That was looking brave for a moment. Florian Scholzer behind as well, a former champion in international GTOpen competition. Adam Osaka now leading the AM class at the end of lap number 1. He has gotten around Erwin Zanotti.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam Osaka currently leading that contingent, of course, and his class. That's a real good, well, certainly a big buzz for them, that's for sure. Polcini, though, still on top, and we will keep you posted with, well, we have got an update, in fact. Team managers for car 63, that's Team Oregon. They've got to report to race control immediately, so there's further investigating afoot, that's for sure, folks. We'll keep you posted. Gilardoni still in second with Christodoulou all over him right now. I have to tell you, we'll have to wait and see whether Christodoulou can unleash the beast against Kevin Gilardoni right now. The gap between them, 0.4 of a second, with Moritz Kranz in behind as well. We've got Baumann in 5th place with Axel Jeffrey still in the mix in 6th, with Moss then leading his contingent around. He's 1.6 back from Axel Jeffries, but certainly controversy at the start, Adam. Unbelievable.
Yeah, very interesting stuff from the Oregon team Lamborghinis. Both of them were past Christodoulou, a long way past them by the time we got started. Anyway, Marcin Jedlinski still all over the back of Giuseppe Cipriani at this stage. Jedlinski, who has done a lot of running here over the years in numerous different cars in GTOpen and in local competition. He's got a lot of miles around this circuit. Ran this very car, the Audi R8, at an event earlier in the year here at the Hungaroring as well, so maybe some relevant data to draw from. And they've also, of course, got one of their closest rivals in the local kind of Eastern European GT scene in the form of Racing Trevor here this weekend. The BMW M4 GT3 making its series debut this weekend, running 12th at the moment with Denis Waszek at the wheel. Jesse Krohn, the Daytona 24-hour class winner, to take that car over later on. There's Nick Moss then, still running 7th overall at the moment in the 72 McLaren from Optimum Motorsport. And he was telling me before the weekend that he didn't think it was necessarily a McLaren circuit here at the Hungaroring. That was before he went faster than anybody on Friday across the free practice sessions, mind you. So maybe they found something in the Optimum garage. Leonardo Polcini pulling away from the rest of the order. He was exactly 3 1/3 of a second clear of Giardoni at the last sector split. You'd be unsurprised to hear he's got the fastest lap of anybody at 1:45.058. He's clearing the field right now, but of course the team managers summoned to race control. Certainly there could be something looming over their heads.
Could well be like a bad smell, you can imagine at that point, but certainly as the way things stand, he is marshalling a gap, as you alluded to. 3.7 is where it currently sits. Gilardoni in behind, though, trying to keep Adam Christodoulou at bay. Of course, that's going to be easier said than done, as they now make their way down the stretch. Kranz in behind too. He's trying to come and join the fun. Currently within 9/10 himself, with in behind Dominic Baumann, who is in 5th place. But as they now make their way down the stretch, a little flash of the lights there, as we now see Dominic Baumann make his way towards turn 1. Just a little flash there from Maurice Kranz, letting him know, yes, I'm still here. As we now take a look at the restart, here is, and you can just see the jump that Leonardo Polcini got off the line. Kevin Gilardoni followed him through into 2nd place as well. It was a perfect start, or seemed to be, certainly for Team Oregon, but obviously the start lights situation is something that's going to be well and firmly discussed, that's for sure. Christodoulou in behind managed to keep Moritz Kranz at bay. There was plenty of battling going on as well, as we ride on board with Dexter Muller, who came in towards turn 1. And he was actually chasing after Alexander Hrakuina. We just see the Stanislav Jedlinski's Audi as well going off the track. So I have to tell you, we just witnessed some contact there as well. That was between Giuseppe Cipriani at the same time. A little move down the inside. Oh, committed to the curve, but that's for sure. But luckily enough, both cars still remain on the circuit.
Marcin Jedlinski does not value his vertebrae as much as I do there. Going over the curves, bouncing away, and trying to find his way past Giuseppe Cipriani. He is yet to do so, and he'll be keen to do so, of course, because as he fights with Cipriani, it allows the other Pro-Am drivers to move ever further away, and that could minimise the benefits of having Karel Bash take over the car later on. Speaking of Pro-Am, this is a fight for 2nd in the Pro-Am class at the moment, as well as 4th overall. Moritz Kranz running there in the Axiom space-backed Get Speed Mercedes. Just behind him is Dominic Baumann. Those are 2 highly experienced racing drivers for sure. And then you've got Axel Jeffries behind as well, who's always a hot shoe. Janine Schaffner there watching on in the Get Speed Mercedes garage, cheering on Moritz Kranz. Axel Jeffries trying to find a way by. He had a nose up the inside of Dominic Baumann, but I don't think he's quite done enough yet.
Yeah, I think he needed to get a little closer, wasn't quite able to get committed into the inside in order to go alongside that of Dominic Baumann. He's going to be left frustrated yet again as they come through turns 2, turn 3, and now make the descent, or the ascent, shall we say, uphill in towards turn 4. This very, very fast left-hander. They'll just lift off the throttle a little bit, maybe a dab of the brake slightly, just to keep control of the car as they now head through this next right. Commit to the inside. Moritz Kranz arguably maybe running a little wide there at that point on the track, but doesn't seem phased by it at the moment. Dominic Baumann in behind in 5th, as we alluded to. Axel Jeffries in behind those as they tackle the chicane at 6 and 7. And then got turn 8 that beckons. This one you could very easily be thrown out of as you head in towards turn 9. Just need to grip onto the car. You can see the rumbling over the curves there, vibrating as they do so. They're back on the power, where they'll then tackle turn 10 and turn 11 before heading down this next little straight. And as they do so, you can see there in behind, Axel Jeffries just urging closer and closer and closer. You get the feeling that this battle between him and Dominic Baumann is far from over, Adam Weller.
Absolutely. I think there's going to be a battle that goes on until they hand the cars over. Obviously, probably towards the end of the pit window in both of these drivers' cases. The pit window will open when we have 42 minutes of the race left to go, and shut when we have 28 minutes of the race left to go. 70 minutes of racing. We are almost 10 minutes into that 70 right now. Still no words on the results of any of the discussions going on up in the steward's office with the managers of Car 63. They will be hoping down at Oregon team that Polcini is allowed to stay where he is, not serve any form of penalty or anything. 6 seconds, the gap already. But no matter what you want to say about the start, Polcini has been working very hard at the wheel of that Lamborghini, and he is a second quicker than, or practically a second quicker than anyone else out there on circuit at the moment. This is a big year for Leo Polcini. He said, you know, I want to be a pro Lamborghini factory driver, that's my aim, and he's showing all the pace in the world to achieve that. But we've just got the bulletin on the timing screen. Car number 63, 10-second time penalty to be added to the race time for a false start, and that is big news indeed. That could have a huge effect on this race, and moreover, it is going to have Leo Polcini setting qualifying laps, as if he hasn't been doing so already, to try and now get a 10-second cushion over the rest of the pack.
Well, the only good news for him is that we're on minute 59, and he's already plunged upon 7 seconds on Ghilardoni, who's in second place. So he just needs to find another 4, and as things stand, he will obviously hold on to P1. But then we've got to factor in driver changes as well, not to mention the other things that could happen in this race at Hungary. But let's brace ourselves. Let's brace ourselves here, folks, as we now watch Polcini make his way down the home straight. He's got turn 1 that's beckoning very, very shortly. This Lamborghini Huracan that got off the line like a shot. Unfortunately, it was deemed not fit, and therefore was given a 10-second time penalty. Christodoulou is now broken well and truly free of Moritz Kranz. 1.9 seconds, and still chasing on Remy Ghilardoni, who's done well to maintain this 0.6 of a second gap right now. For the back, Kranz now at the mercy of Dominic Baumann, who's bringing Axel Jeffries into the fray. Remember, we saw that little exchange happening earlier on as well. But yes, it's absolutely kicking off already. We've got cars separated across the grid order, battles are plenty, and obviously there's a few cars that would have lost a vital slipstream.
One would have to suggest that Christodoulou is probably still seething in the cockpit, though, because of course Polcini's early getaway allowed Ghilardoni there into second place, and now Christodoulou's just kind of bottled up behind the number 19 Oregon Lamborghini, and he can't try and keep Polcini within that 10 seconds. So he will be still rather annoyed by the start of that race, but we'll see if he can maybe try and find a way past Ghilardoni. However, I think Christodoulou's main focus will be on the Pro-Am battle and handing the car over to Rima Jafali in a good position. Cipriani still proving to be a very effective hindrance to the day of Marcin Jedlinski. This is a battle for 14th overall. I don't think Jedlinski has been more than half a second back from Cipriani since the start of the race. Two highly experienced drivers with very different backgrounds. Cipriani ran for a great many years in single-seater competition, be it the Auto GP series, the World Formula 3.5 series. He used to love running in big single-seaters. These days he's in GT3 cars. Jedlinski, meanwhile, has run all sorts of tin tops over the years. So two drivers with differing CVs, but clearly very similar pace on circuit at the moment.
Yeah, they certainly do. The gap is minimal as things stand. And there we can see them now making their way through. Cipriani still holding on, though. And Jedlinski will keep on pressuring in that Audi, of course, representing Team Olymp Racing, to now make their way through down towards turn 1 yet again, passing the start-finish line. There is the FIBA Motorsport Garage and Rima Jafali just watching on. They take a look at the cameras and the data, of course, staying plugged into whatever Adam Christodoulou is up to at the moment. Of course, she'll be certainly preparing herself, getting ready for when she ventures onto the circuit, as we now watch them make their way around turn 5 here at Hungaroring. 4.381 kilometers of this circuit to take, 2.722 miles. So they head through the next chicane at turn 6 and 7 now, rumbling over the strips as they make their way in towards the next bend and turn 8, in towards turn 9. As I said, middle sector, oh so technical. I mean, when I spoke to Adam Christodoulou earlier on, he said you just can't rest. You can't rest at this circuit. It's constant cornering at this circuit. It keeps you awake, that's for sure, and it will keep on trying and testing these professional drivers.
Yeah, it's also very high tyre deck running through that middle sector in particular. Of course, we do have tyre swaps mid-race here in International GTOpen, so they will get some fresh Michelin rubber put onto the cars, but nonetheless, it certainly is taxing from that perspective as well. Ghilardoni still holding off Christodoulou for the time being, discussions ongoing in the Oregon box. As you see, Polcini now 8.8 seconds clear, so he's already practically got the cushion he needs. Of course, he will hand over to Benjahites later on, and this car of Kevin Giardoni will be taken over by Glenn Van Berlo. Rima Jafali, the Pro-Am team, the FIBA Motorsport crew. Rima may not be able to keep up with the pace of those Oregon cars when she takes over, but certainly for Van Berlo, it's going to be a matter of hunting down Benjahites in the second half of this race if things stay as they are.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Obviously, the driver changes are going to have such an impetus, I think, on how things certainly pan out, especially in the Pro-Am category as well. If you look at things right now, Chris Zulu obviously in the car, you have to wonder what's going to happen, of course, when the Olymp Audi comes in, because obviously Marcin Jedlinski will be transferring over to Karel Basch. We all know what Karel Basch's pace is like. We saw that at Spa-Francorchamps, as we now see a replay. And this is the BMW M4. And if I'm not mistaken, that's it's Erwin Zanotti, sorry. Denis Vacek making his way through down the inside. A very nice move indeed, smooth as you like. He now makes his way in towards turn 13, just chose the inside, stuck to it, and managed to pull it off as well.
Denis Vacek currently leading his regular championship in Central Europe and joining us for GTOpen. We'd certainly like to see more of that BMW M4 beyond this Hungaroring weekend. The first time we've seen the new for 2022 BMW M4 in the International GTOpen paddock, and it certainly looked like a potent piece of kit in the free practices yesterday. Of course, Jesse Krohn to take that car over later on, the very, very talented Finnish driver. And we look forward to seeing how he can work his way through the order later on. The Pro-Am cars with the pros starting, of course, make up a bulk of the top 6 at the moment. 3rd through 6th place, all Pro-Am entries, all with the pros at the wheel at the moment. Here's a replay of Jedlinski. Oh, and a spin for Marcin. And he was already off the back of Giuseppe Cipriani there, so I wonder if he's had a few issues on that lap, because look at that, just looking now, it didn't look like that car was turning very well at all through either of the corners previous. I wonder if that might be something more damage or perhaps a tyre going down than an error for Jedlinski. That car looked like it was suffering woes, and he's spun again. Jedlinski spun at the final corner right on the apex of the last turn, and if he can't get that car started, this could be a nightmare for Leonardo Polcini. That 10-second gap that he's practically built could be about to be ebbed away if the 777 Audi can't be recovered.
Absolutely right. I mean, if we, God forbid, if we were to have a safety car or something like that as they were trying to remove the car, or full course yellow, and the time gap was allowed to be brought back in, that would be chaos for Leonardo Polcini and Team Oregon. 10-second time penalty as things stand. We've got oil on the track, safety car deployed. Safety car has been deployed. Oil on the track from turn 7, so therefore they have to release the safety car. So that's the decisive moment. Polcini must be devastated right now.
So that explains the issue for the 777 car. He'd had a spin at turn 12 as well. Had Jedlinski. Get the impression that that car was ailing for a long time. I'm surprised he didn't go for the pits. Unfortunately, Jedlinski tried to push on, and ultimately he's laid a lot of oil down, and that car has seemingly bitten the dust there at turn 14. Yeah, again, you can see the oil going down. You can see the oil coming off the tyres, actually, as he tried to continue on. So that car has sprung a leak. It's caused many issues for the 777. And now it's caused issues for the rest of the field as well. Of course, it's not just Polcini who will be ruining this safety car, although it affects him the most obviously. You've got to consider those Pro-Am cars as well, the likes of Chris Dedulia, Moritz Kranz, Dominic Baumann, Axel Jeffries. All of the work they do in this first stint of the race to give their AM driver a cushion has suddenly been eradicated.
But great news if you're an AM driver, I suppose, at this stage, at this point, further down, because, of course, Adam Osaka now is brought right up into the fight, and there you can just hear the car. It's got no intention of coming back on. So there you have it, folks. Safety car situation here at Hungaroring. Wow, what a start. Dramatic start, I would say, Adam.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes have certainly been awash with drama and now incident with this moment for the 777 car. We were just talking up Karel Bash before it happened. Unfortunately, he's not going to get a chance to carve his way through
Can't
the
help
order.
but feel I cursed him.
Well, yes. The drivers that will benefit from this in the Pro-Am category, I mean, look at the likes of Denis Vacek. He'll hand over to Jesse Krohn. Jesse Krohn is a race winner just about everywhere he's gone. Expect him to be strong in that M4 in the second stint of the race. The likes of Yannick Mettler, David Fumanelli, and Julian Darris as well, who's sharing with Pascal Bachmann this weekend. All of those drivers towards the rear end of Pro-Am right now are going to have certainly not an easy race. There's still a lot of carbon fibre and metal ahead of them between themselves and the higher positions, but this will be forever in their favour with the field bunching up once again. Now, with the oil on track and the car still stuck there, this could be quite a lengthy process. I see that Jedlinski's still in the car as well. You see him actually using the door. I lost the word door there, that was interesting. Using the door as a bit of a fan at the moment, and well, hopefully that car is removed from its current condition, current position at some point soon. And of course, you've also got to consider the oil. They might want to be treating that with cement dust, and if it's from turn 7 to turn 14, that is half the lap. So that could be quite a lengthy process for the marshals here at the Hungaroring. Driver change starts in 7 minutes and 20 seconds as well, incidentally. So that's worth bearing in mind. There is the BMW M4 we were discussing, racing Trevor's M4, a rather different machine from the M6 that came before it. 2 fewer cylinders for starters. And of course, also, one of the coolest things about the M4 is that the steering wheel, you can actually purchase an M4 GT3 steering wheel for your Fanatec simulator rig, and it will work either on your simulator rig or in an actual BMW M4 GT3 car. It costs a bit, I won't lie to you, it costs a lot of money, but that's a very cool crossover between the virtual and real worlds of racing. Safety car will drive through the pit lane next time, so that's to make sure that marshals can go out onto the circuit to try and retrieve the 777 Audi, so we will see them all drive through the pits this time.
Yeah, we will indeed. And as you can see, all the cars now bunched up together. So this is a very inviting situation, as we said earlier, for a lot of the AM category, that's for sure. And further down, those that will be changing from AM drivers to their pros as well, if they're part of the Pro-Am category. So plenty to look forward to, that's for sure. We're going to get to certainly get racing again very, very soon. The safety car obviously just allowing the cars to be reduced down to a certain pace, certain delta. You've got to carry a certain delta, therefore to allow safety cleanup of this Audi to proceed. There is Jedlinski coming off the track, Karel Bash joining him alongside with the scooter as well, no doubt just trying to console him. Not the race they would have wanted at this point, and they are now officially out of the race. So they'll drive through the pit lane, as Adam alluded to, so they can go through with the cleaning process. Very soon turn 14 will be nice and tidy again with just the tarmac. We don't want any added extras, folks, because obviously that will not help. So we're now watching the cars make their way in towards the pit lane now, and Polcini will lead them through. It's a bit of a concern in terms of Oregon now, whereas it was looking more positive earlier on, despite the 10-second time penalty, Adam, due to the fact now that we've only got 5 minutes until the driver change. It puts them in a bit of a compromised situation.
Certainly, yes, it does. It's going to, especially for Benjahites, he will be the one ruining this more so than Leonardo Polcini, of course, because he's now going to have to defend from Glenn Van Berlo and try and find a 10-second gap over Van Berlo or anyone else who may be in second place during his stint. Of course, this moment for the Olymp Audi is a huge benefit to Adam Christodoulou and Rima Jafali. The 47 points on the board and the Pro-Am points lead for Jedlinski and Karel Bash. As of Spa-Francorchamps, that may not be all ebbed away today, but certainly after a non-finish for Thiba in the double points paying endurance race at Spa, being able to score points potentially if they reach the finish, where the Olymp car fails to do so, will help their championship chances once more.
It will. It will recover some of the damage that was done at Spa. I know that Adam Christodoulou was very disappointed that obviously the incident happen the way it did. But there again, you know, he was very obviously understood the fact that it is racing. These things do happen, and certainly when you head around Lake Com and Malmedy, it's a very tricky part of the track at Spa. But here, nonetheless, they've got a huge opportunity at Hungary as well. But we'll have to wait and see.
Just got a shot there of Janos Shanta's magical, I'm going to say magical, Aston Martin V12 Vantage GT3. It's a novelty these days to have a V12 race car. Not many of them left in the modern market, but that car being taken out by the local hero, the Hungarian driver Janos Shanta. For the history buffs like myself, it's chassis number 24 if you really want to know. And it's a wonderful piece of kit. Of course, since 2019, they've moved on to the second generation Aston Martin Vantage. But that 6-litre V12 has been reverberating throughout the paddock all weekend long. And I was sat alongside a driver from the GTOpen when the car came past on the pit wall, and he was talking to me, and then he just paused and smiled and pointed out to the track and said, "That's awesome." Yeah. It's a wonderful car. There you see the 27 Aston Martin of Janos Shanta. Two Aston Martins in 18th and 19th place, because Pascal Bachmann's street art car sits just ahead of him in 18th position at the moment. 2.5 minutes until the pit window opens here. And Polcini and Giardoni still lead the way, of course, under these safety car conditions. We're going to get at least one more lap behind the safety car. You'd suggest we might get perhaps more than that as well. Haven't seen much going on the track in terms of trying to treat the oil, however. Often, if they are treating the oil, putting down cement dust, etc., oh, there is some. Okay, yes. Well, that's where the car came to a halt. So I imagine there's quite a lot of oil down there, and the cement dust being put down. And so that will mean that this is going to be a lengthier process. Often, of course, when there is oil down on the circuit, the marshals, race control, etc., will all prefer a red flag, because that means they can take to the circuit freely without interruption. But the clock continues to tick. The safety car continues to lead the field at this stage. And we'll see what happens once this pit window opens, of course, as well. That's going to be a critical point in the race.
No doubt on the next lap we will expect certainly some of the AM side of the Pro-Ams to come straight in, you would have thought. But as they now make their way out onto the circuit again, still Polcini leading the way. But one has to wonder what they must be feeling right now, certainly in that garage, given the fact that things have turned out the way they have done. Remember, they had the start, they really got away quickly. It was then decided that they made the jump a little too early, and therefore a 10-second time penalty was applied. But since then, we've had a safety car, and it's grouped everybody back together again, so we will be seeing plenty more action. There is the Solar Limp car on track as well, the Ferrari belonging to Stanislav Jedlinski too, still out on circuit and chasing Janos Shanta as well for that 19th place. You can see the marshals working very hard to lay down the dust to certainly try and subdue the oil residue that's left onto the circuit. And hopefully, once they've done that, we can get back underway for the second time, I suppose now. Pedal to the metal for the second time in this race.
Yes, we'll see quite when that happens. We're still under safety car for now. Still time for the safety car to come in on this lap, although it didn't look like we were going to imminently see the marshals withdrawn from that situation. Now, last time out at Spa, of course, we did see the pit window delayed because of the safety car. So we'll have to see whether that applies here also. Driver change window is open on the timing screen, but whether that applies in actuality, frankly, I'm not quite sure. So we'll have to see whether we do start to see actual pit stops happen. Of course, they will be likely driving through the pit lane again this time, because there's still marshals actively working on the racing surface at turn 14. And we've just had the clock reset again on the timing screen. Driver change on, starting in 1 minute 20. So we'll see quite when they actually pull the trigger to start the safety car, or rather to start the pit window. And safety car still with the lights on, so it looks like we're going to do at least one more lap. However, the bulletin saying that cars are coming through the pit lane has now been lifted. So it looks like we might stay on the racing surface this time rather than going into the pits, potentially. And indeed we do, so hopefully that's a good sign that we aren't going to be much longer behind this safety car.
No, hopefully not too long. We're just going to watch the cars there make their way around turn 13 and very shortly turn 14 as well. And they do indeed follow the racing tarmac and make their way through the final corner. And then straight down the main straight, still under safety car ruling though. Yellow flags currently littered across the circuit with the marshals waving them as things stand, and certainly as they make their way through, once again, it's going to apply yet more pressure to those who are currently at the head of the field, because they'll be wary of some very, very fast, pacey customers, they're going to be looking to try and tackle them up at the front end. But yes, very much looking forward to seeing what happens at the getaway. The safety car, that is the confirmation, folks. It is coming in this lap. We'll very soon be back underway.
Excellent. So safety car will be in this lap. It'll be intriguing to see who jumps in at the first opportunity for a pit stop. We have just under 40 minutes of this race left to go, and we'll get an official ruling once the race goes back to green as to when the safety car when the pit stop window officially starts, and indeed whether it's extended at all. In fact, it just says end drivers change in 11 minutes 25. And there you go, pit window will open at 15:24, which is now. It's just gone 15:24 local time, and cars are allowed to enter behind the safety car. So that's an official ruling now, and they weren't allowed to make the stop under the safety car, the mandatory driver stop, and you can, well, guess why, because that would be a huge advantage. But now that we are going back to green flag racing, the pit window is now open. Who will bite first? I think we're unlikely to see the likes of Chris Dulu, Moritz Kranz, Dominic Baumann, Axel Jeffries. I don't think they will be looking to pit anytime soon. They'll be trying to build any cushion they can for their co-driver over the remainder of this stint before they take the cars over. There's Leonardo Polcini. He's bottling up the field, and looked like he was going for a minute there, but the safety car far too close to him. He looks like he has gone now. And I'm not sure everyone has got the memo. A few drivers caught napping. Nick Moss there didn't look like he quite realised what was going on. So Polcini, oh, he's gone, and then he's stopped again. That's not always particularly liked by the other drivers, of course, because that means that you speed up suddenly and then you go, oh no, okay, we're slowing down again, and that can cause issues. There goes Giardoni then. He's wasting no time. He's the first man into the pit lane during the pit window, handing over to Glenn Van Berlo. Polcini is going to stay out there for now and try and rebuild that gap. Adam Christodoulou stays out as well, as do a majority of the top 10, although Nick Moss has pitted. He's going to hand over to Joe Osborne, and I think just about everyone who was behind Osborne has decided to make the same choice as well. Very busy pit lane.
It is indeed. You just see the drivers now jumping out there. Well, there's certainly their co-drivers now coming in as well. Steve Jans, he comes out and he will be replaced as well, as we now see them all come in. Every single one of them. Look at them. Dexter Muller as well will be taken over by Yannick Mettler as he now stops in his position in the pit lane. As you can now see, the garage is working very hard. New tyres on the car. Fran Reuter as well with Daniel Diaz Varela. They're making their driver change too. The Team GT car there as well, also being changed. Alan Valente stepping in for them. As you can now see as well, Nick Moss also being exchanged for Joe Osborne. So they'll be making the jump very, very shortly, as we're now watching. Leonardo Polcini still leading as he did so before the safety car. But Christodoulou still in behind. That gap, though, has come out slightly. 1.5 seconds is the difference. We're also seeing that Stanislav Jedlinski coming in too, and they're making their changes as well. So we're now watching the string of cars making their way through. Moritz Kranz currently sat in third. Dominic Baumann, Axel Jeffrey still out on circuit. They're going to be out for as long as I'm sure possible. As you can now see them all leaving. Now just look at them. Is that David Fuminelli having a little nose down the inside in pit escape?
Jesse Krohn there looked like he wasn't getting out of the pit limiter there in the BMW M4 GT3 car. He was slow, he was bottling everybody up there, and I think that maybe he was struggling to get the car off of that pit limiter because it just didn't look like he wanted to accelerate in the slightest, and that's bottled up everyone else. That could be a huge benefit to some of the other drivers in a Pro-Am, those who are AM drivers, with everyone else getting held up there by the BMW. Intriguing stuff indeed. Axel Jeffries with a bit of four-wheel drift coming out of the first corner. The top five then with a big gap, and then it's Adamo Seika and Erwin Zanotti in 6th and 7th place at the moment, the two leading AM cars. And here's a replay. Let's just see, Fuminelli trying to sneak his way past Cipriani. An overtake in the pit out lane isn't something I've seen before. I don't think there's a strict ruling on it, but certainly very entertaining. And Yannick Mettler got completely shortchanged there, didn't he? Because he had to avoid the pit furniture that's out there at the exit, and he lost a good couple of places as a result. So more work to do for Yannick.
Yeah, we're also hearing that car number 133, David Fuminelli, must give the position back to car 8. So Cipriani has got to have the place back. So he'll have P15. Fuminelli will go back down into 16. So that's a confirmation from the stewards. So it's all happening today here at Hungary right now. Pulcini still on top. The gap now out 2.2 seconds. So it's gone out by another 7/10. So Pulcini absolutely flying right now, trying to once again whittle away at that time. Obviously, due to the penalty of 10 seconds, he knows he needs to get to work so that he can provide Benjaguitez with somewhat of an advantage heading out to the pit stop phase. And here comes Yannick Mettler as well with the battle further back. There you can see the Alim Ferrari as well. There is Pulcini as well with what looks to be Christodoulou in behind. 2.5 seconds is the gap. Kranz in behind them with Baumann in 4th place. Axel Jeffries in 5th too. And then there's a gap to Adamo Seika, you can just see right in the rear of shot.
So that bulletin has been updated to say the reason being for the Fuminelli's ruling is that he was overtaking off the circuit, and indeed he did have all four wheels off track, so that's the reason the car must be, or rather the position must be given back to Giuseppe Cipriani. Now, it's going to be a big loss for Fuminelli, particularly if he's already disappeared up the road from that number 8 Lamborghini. We'll have to see how much time he loses as a result when he chooses to serve that particular ruling to its command. And team managers have also been asked to come up and say hello for the Kessel Racing 133 car, so perhaps we haven't seen the last of that yet. Certainly Cipriani doesn't have Fuminelli behind him. Fuminelli's still out in front of him. So this could be a discussion that continues on for a little bit longer. Yannick Mettler trying to find a way past Giuseppe Cipriani at the moment then. Look to the inside, speculatively going into turn 12. Not quite able to do it there. Fuminelli, meanwhile, up ahead is trying to get around Martin Conrad. Martin Conrad in the Manfilter Team Landgraf Mamba. And the SPS Mercedes number 54 trying to take advantage of Cipriani running ever so slightly wide there. Mettler trying for it then. He's got the slipstream as they run down the main straight. And the big 5.2 litre V10 Lamborghini is rather outweighed even by the 6.2 litre engine in the Mercedes, but nonetheless they're even in a straight line. Mettler though with a better run out of turn 1. Is this the opportunity that Yannick Mettler needs to make up a position? He's going for 14th, he's around the outside at turn 2. Very tricky to get right. Can he do so? Looks like he may have done. You can see the wing mirror there of the Lamborghini, but he's set himself up for the inside of turn 3. Very nice driving from Yannick Mettler.
Yeah, very smooth indeed. Coming out of turn 3, he executed it absolutely perfectly. Cipriani now also at the mercy of what looks to be Fran Reuter, who's managed to move ahead as well. So Fran Reuter has moved up into that P16 place. So you've got Yannick Mettler moving up, as well as Reuter. Further back then, you've got Cipriani, who's got Seb Bow now behind him, who's no doubt going to want to try and join it in the scrap. There you can see now Martin Conrad, who's had to forfeit up to David Fuminelli, or certainly Mettler for David Fuminelli for that 14th place. So there you have it, folks. As things stand, Conrad currently standing 13th, so still no change further at the top.
Great to see Fran Fran Rueda back in the paddock for the first time in a little while. He last raced with us in 2020. Get a replay here of Cipriani losing position to Yannick Mettler, and then Fran Rueda was not far behind either. The Spanish driver, who we are going to see again before the end of the year, I'm told. So good to have Fran back with us. Raced for many years with Teo Martin in both McLaren and BMW machinery. Great to have Fran Rueda, a two-time runner-up in the GTOpen overall championship in years gone by, back with us this weekend. His first ever race outing in a Mercedes AMG GT3. Certainly not the first outing for Yannick Mettler, though, in this AMG GT3 from SPS. He's showing his experience with the car, making that move around the outside at turn 2. Into the pits has come Leonardo Polcini then. Ben Jahites is about to inherit the number 63 Lamborghini and inherit that 10-second penalty that looms large over them for the end of the race. Ben Jahites is going to have to push very hard indeed to try and salvage a win. Potentially, it could be difficult to even salvage a podium.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big run for Adam Christodoulou now, because now that he knows that Polcini has come in, this is a huge opportunity for him too, because he can start really laying in now in terms of the delta time. With 5 minutes still to go on the driver change, he's going to have at least approximately, I'd say, 2 laps, Adam, before you then have to come in.
Yeah, 4 minutes and 50 seconds. He might be able to... No, I don't think he'd risk 3, actually, thinking about it. The maths doesn't work, I don't think. So, yeah, I think 2 more laps next time across the line, at most, for Adam Christodoulou and the FIBA Motorsport team. It's a sea of Mercedes, though. Further back in the order, the battle for 14th with Martin Conrad there leading Yannick Mettler at this stage. Pascal Bachmann has already handed the car over to Julian Darris, so that's Julian Darris making his first outing in the Aston Martin GT3 car for street art racing, just ahead of Janine Schaffner, and we'll see how Julian stacks up once the safety car, or rather once the driver change window has shut. We'll see where he comes out relative to everyone else. And just looking back here at the likes of Valentin Pierberg making his return to the series. Is Pierberg already in the 20 car? No, it's still Dominic Baumann at the wheel of the 20, but not for much longer, because in now comes Baumann to hand over to Valentin Pierberg in the second SPS Mercedes, the team that have taken Pro-Am glory here in the International GTOpen in years gone by, with Valentin Pierberg at the wheel along with Tom Onslow Cole back in 2018. Now with Dominic Baumann as his teammate, he could be a contender for Pro-Am victory here today and indeed tomorrow at the Hungaroring.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether he can pull it off. There's some battling further up as well, because now we've got, further down, sorry, in the order, we've got at this moment in time Ben Jahites and Alan Valente going at it. Now, this wouldn't have been what Oregon would have wanted, because, of course, remember, it was Polcini who was leading the race at the point, and, of course, the safety car came in. That has since whittled away the deficit. Now it looks like Alan Valente wants to have a pop here at the Team Oregon Lamborghini as they now head in towards the next right at turn 12. You just see them just coasting the cars through, and then very shortly they'll then tackle the next left at turn 13. Big opportunity on the main straight here, potentially here for Alan Valente, if he can prove that. And in comes now Juan Shanta, who will now make a driver change himself, and there is your V12 Aston Martin, Adam.
Wonderful bit of kit. Janos Shanta has 2 of these cars, actually. Also has a Ferrari 360 Le Mans car, ex-Risi Competizione. He's a proper GT Racing fans GT racer. We had a nice long chat earlier on, and a bit of a family affair this weekend as well, because his son is racing in a local championship this weekend at the Hungaroring as well. Here's Christian Korzynowski, maybe having a bit of a moment trying to get around the 911 car, and actually makes it through quite nicely there, but Sebastian Baud had to take to the runoff area to avoid contact there between the number 5 and the number 911 cars. In has come Adam Christodoulou. 1 minute and 55 left on this driver change window, so not long left for everybody now, and unsurprisingly quite a few of the cars are in. A longer stop, they've got success penalties and also a penalty for Rima being a silver-rated driver for the FIBA Motorsport crew. So a 95-second pit stop, that could be a huge detractor for their chances of an overall podium, but we'll see quite how Rima Jafali fights back post-pit stop. Stephen Earl and Owen Zanotti in, as is Adam Osaka, who will take over, or rather hand the car over to Kiki Sakanana, who was running on the highest of highs after taking the AM Class win at Spa. He sent me a very long message in all caps on Instagram about how excited he was, and certainly Kiki deserved that win in the AM Class along with Adam Osaka. Of course, Osaka running well in AM previous to this pit stop, so it's now emphasis on Kiki to try and hold on to potentially another AM win.
Yeah, Benji Ito now coming through the final corner. Now here we go, as we now see Janine Schaffner exit the pit lane. Where will this position him now? As we now could see in the background, there's Roman Zamian coming out as well, back onto the circuit, as we're now watching Benji Hites come through towards turn 1 with Alan Valente very much in tow as well. And certainly not a huge amount of traffic, but certainly not, it's not ideal, because of course Valente can then utilize these cars when they catch up with them to try and maybe marshal in an overtake. We'll have to wait and see as they now come through this next right-hander. Of course, now Janine Schaffner entering the race now, replacing Moritz Kranz in this Axiom Space Mercedes AMG GT3. Round turn 4 they go. And you can see Roman Zamian, who came in for Axel Jeffries, who's now holding up Benji Hites. So this was the predicament. And here comes Hites now, has a little look down the inside now as they come through turn 5, side by side. The Oregon Lamborghini, and through goes Valente as well. So we got the Mercedes and the Lamborghini continuing through. Valente right on the rear there of the Lambo belonging to Benji Hites. He's going to put his best defensive helmet on. So I can tell you one thing, Valente is not going to go down without a fight.
So as the driver change window has just now closed, it is Janine Schaffner who leads the overall standings for Get Speed Mercedes herself and Moritz Kranz. She currently leads the way by some 4.8 seconds over Benji Hites, now in second place. In fact, make that 5.2 in favor of Janine, as Hites lost some more time trying to get around Roman Zamian. Here's the move for second place overall then. Hites moving himself up a position at the expense of the Polish driver Zamian, and also Valente getting through, not just for third overall, but also second in Pro-Am. Alan Valente could well be in the hot seat for a Pro-Am win for Team GT, but he's got to close in on Janine Schaffner before he considers that one. Car number 133, 10-second time penalty to be added to the race time. He was given the option of giving the position back. He didn't do so, but the safety car has been deployed. Safety car is out. We're yet to see reason for it, but the safety car has been deployed. And this, of course, is going to be a huge negative, again, for the Pro-Am driver teams that now have an AM in the car. Janine Schaffner, for example, she had a good advantage over Alan Valente and Benji Hites, but now that's all going to be ebbed away. That's a huge shame for Janine Schaffner. Now I'm seeing that the 18 car, the FIBA Motorsport car of Rima Jafali, is dropping through the order. So whether or not it is the 18 FIBA Motorsport car that's gone missing, we're not sure. We're just getting confirmation of car number 133, 10-second time penalty to be added to the race for David Fumadelli. He was given the choice to drop the position back to Giuseppe Cipriani. He decided not to, and so they've decided to give him a 10-second penalty instead. Of course, this safety car will hurt him. It'll also hurt the other car with a 10-second penalty, that being Benji Hites and the 63 Oregon Team Lamborghini.
Yeah, Rima Jafali's sector time hasn't updated in the second sector, so I'm starting to think that maybe in that second sector they may have run into an issue, but we'll have to wait and see, folks. We'll get confirmation. Safety car is out, though. That's what we have got confirmed for you at this moment in time. Benji Hites now will certainly tie up in behind now Janine Schaffner. Real shame for this to happen, because of course what a story it would be for Janine Schaffner here to perhaps even claim even the big prize here where it comes to the overall podium situation. Here we have running off wide there, Rima Jafali. Oversteer as well, straight into the steel barrier, and that is in leading into sector 2 as well. So there you have it, folks. We just see them. We've spoken about this portion of the circuit before and how treacherous it can be. Here's a prime example. Heavy impact right into the steel. So there you go. That's the confirmation, Adam. That's why we have a safety car.
Yeah, Rima Jafali at turn 7 there, having a moment, well, turn 9, I should say, sorry, having a moment, running it wide. Driver of car 18 is okay, we've got on our screens as well, which is really good news. So Rima Jafali is okay after that heavy impact, but of course, the safety car deployed to make sure that the appropriate assistance could get to her and indeed remove the car safely from the circuit. A huge shame for her and Adam Christodoulou, of course, as we alluded to. It could have been a really good day for them with the Olymp Audi already out. It could have been serious points for them today in the Pro-Am class, but at this stage, all that really matters is that Rima is out of the car, and she is, so that's what's important.
Yeah, definitely. Great to hear that they're all okay and that Rima is out of the car. So very, very good news, certainly for us here at the GTOpen. I hope everyone is enjoying the coverage here. There you got confirmation on your screen, folks. Driver car 18, that is Rima Jafali, just to clarify. And she is absolutely okay, so that's great news. As we can now see, all the cars make their way through the chicane out of turn 6 and 7. And Janine Schaffner still leads the contingent at this moment in time in terms of the overall standings right now. Brilliant to see. Certainly Benji Hitez as well, with certainly very much in the scrap with him and Alan Valente, who is certainly bringing it here up in the top 10 right now, in the top 3 at least. And Zamian in P4 as well. Joe Osborne, though, throw him into the mix, P5. Now, this is a big race, certainly for Optimum, off the back of a difficult Spa. They can now come back and have a huge opportunity to strike big here in Hungary. This could be a huge opportunity to get some points back, but they're going to have to, once again, go toe-to-toe with Team Oregon, because Hitez is still in second place. And there's Rima Jafali, no doubt very disappointed.
Very disappointed, and I'm sure, being the racer she is, what she's doing right now is looking at the car and thinking, right, what are the chances of that being rebuilt for tomorrow? They will want to try and race tomorrow, get some points on the board as well. But let's wait and see. We'll update you as and when we know. Keep an eye on the GTOpen website and social media channels as soon as we have information on the condition of the car. We know the driver's okay, but of course, if they've bent the chassis or something of that nature, and sometimes the front of the chassis can be bent in those full-on impacts with the Armco, they could have some damage, but hopefully it wasn't a high-speed enough incident to prevent them from racing again tomorrow.
Yeah, fingers crossed we'll get to see them back in action. The crane being put to work, carrying the car from the circuit. So while that is done, obviously will remain under safety car conditions. The standings, as we said before, Janine Schaffner still leads currently the contingent through. Further back, we've got other cars making their way through. Fuminelli, of course, who he'll be pleased to a degree, I think, that we are under safety car ruling, because, of course, he does have that 10-second time penalty. So this will bring everyone back into the fight. It will allow him to push on as well, because we know how quick he can be. And certainly marshaled in many a great lap time, certainly in terms of qualifying. And in racing as well, he's pulled off a number of wonderful overtakes as well. So keep your eyes on Davide Fuminelli, folks. Not to mention Glenn Van Berlo as well, who's in 8th place, with Pierberg in 7th as well. Plenty of drivers, new names as well, up in the Pro-Am category that could be a huge threat.
Jesse Krohn in particular could be in the hot seat here, of course. Of the Pro-Am drivers up at the sharp end, Janine Schaffner in the lead is an Am driver. You see her just running through the chicane there. Great to see Janine leading a race at the moment, and she is a sterling defending driver as well, so she's definitely not going to make it easy for those behind. Alan Valente in 3rd place is the pro driver of that Pro-Am lineup. Jesse Krohn is also the pro driver of the Racing Trevor BMW lineup, so he could be up for challenging here. Jesse, who has raced the BMW M4 GT3 numerous times already this season. He's probably one of the most experienced drivers out there in the new for 22 BMW M4 GT3. Raced it out in America already this year in their factory team, and also in the ADAC GT Masters as well. So he's been a very busy boy across continents so far this year. Great to welcome Jesse Krohn into International GTOpen, and of course to welcome Racing Trevor and this fabulous BMW M4 GT3. And we'll keep an eye on them as we go back to green flag racing. Hopefully that won't be too far away. We have 17 minutes left on the clock right now. We have at least one more lap under safety car. The cars are coming across the start-finish line here as we speak. There's the number 19 car. Oh, it never gets any easier to see these slow-mos of them chucking it over the curbs. As someone who's done his back in a couple of times in his life, I just shiver at the very thought of it. But these young stars, that was Glenn Van Berlo at the wheel of the 19 car in that last shot. And Glenn, very robust young athlete, and he will no doubt have no issues. Although a few rounds with the physio after the race probably won't hurt either. Janine Schaffner then it is that continues to lead the way here. Janine, who came away with championship silverware last year at the Nürburgring's NLS Endurance Series. She's a championship winning driver. She's a really exciting figure in the paddock. She's, you know, always got a story. She seems to have spent time just about everywhere in the world at various points. Very much someone who was officially a resident of the UK, or rather was. She's now a resident of the United States, of course, but born in the UK, but seems to have spent time just about anywhere. If you're unfamiliar with Janine's story, she also used to be a skydiver photographer. Which is a job, yes, and if you're on all of the big magazines, as she was, it can be quite a good job as well. Although Janine hasn't gone skydiving in a while, she decided instead to go for more leisurely pursuits, such as chucking GT3 cars around the Nürburgring, and now around the finest circuits in Europe here in the International GTOpen. And a word as well to her husband, John, who, of course, is working hard to become an actual space pilot. What a family.
Well, I've got to say, it's one way to live, isn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly trying to travel in space. Well, you know, it's everyone's dream, of course. But yeah, Janine Schaffner currently in first place, and an amazing story as well. And certainly lived, that's for sure. And has experienced many great moments. Hites in second place, obviously looking to try and harness his potential here on track Valente as well. Safety car will remain out for now. Further back, you can see that Zamian with Joe Osborne, who's currently sat in fifth place. Huge opportunity for Optima Motorsport to look to repair what was the damage of Spa. As I alluded to very early on in that race, they in fact went out. As we now watch the Aston Martin, big salute here from Adam Weller as that Aston Martin goes by. Wonderful sound that car makes indeed. You're absolutely right, Adam.
Yeah, mighty stuff, and it's always great to see a variety of shapes and sizes, and you always get that in GT3 racing. You've obviously got those mid-engine Lamborghinis, Audis, McLarens, and then you've got these front-engine cars such as the Aston Martin, the Mercedes, and now the BMW M4 as well. Janine Schaffner continues to lead them. Safety car out for now, but we'll see how long it's going to take before the safety car is in. We haven't had any bulletin on that as of yet. Hopefully see the recovery process for the FIBA Motorsports number 18 car of Rima Jafali completed very soon. And a shout out to Rima as well, I must say, because during the week, I think it was in Finland, she was competing in a half Ironman, a massive triathlon event. And I would not be doing that the same week as going car racing, but props to her on her continued athletic prominence. Cars 63 and 20 report to race control immediately. Now, the 63 car is Benja Hites. Of course, they've already got a 10-second penalty attributed to them, so this will not be good news. Valentin Pierberg also being, or rather the car of Valentin Pierberg, the number 20 SPS Automotive Mercedes, also being summoned to race control. So two cars in good positions right now in both the overall and indeed in the case of Valentin Pierberg in the Pro-Am class. Two drivers who are doing very well at the moment could have a further sting in the tail. Of course, Hites has enough to worry about as it is. He's already got a 10-second penalty hanging over his head from the start of the race when Leonardo Polcini bolted early, and well, it could be about to get worse.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's just an insult to injury, I think, at that point, obviously, but certainly in behind it will give hope to the likes of Alan Valente, for example. Roman Zamian Joe Osborne especially, because of course they've been tied up in the fight with Team Oregon all season long, and we're actually leading the championship prior to Spa. So obviously the big hit after the DNF certainly did cost them, and now they've got a huge chance to turn this right around.
I tell you what, Joe Osborne's going to be value for money when we go back to green flag conditions. He likes an overtake, and he'll get the elbows out to do it. 5th place overall at the moment. Yeah, he's going to go for that podium. Not only is he going to go for that podium, he's going to go for that top step. Joe and Nick have been really great so far this season. Of course, they got themselves the double victory last time out. Rather not last time out, but back in May at the circuit. Paul Ricard, of course, ended up with that non-finish at Spa last month. They'll be looking to get as many points as they can, particularly as many points more compared to the Oregon cars in this particular race weekend. There is the Janos Shanta Aston Martin V12 Vantage GT3. It is amazing how quickly nostalgia builds. That was the current car until the end of 2018, but now seeing it in the paddock is something of a novelty. And of course, it's always a novelty to see the newer street art Aston Martin in the paddock. They've got those fabulous, that fabulous multicolored livery on the car. I think multicolored is understating it. It's a really wonderful wrap, very detailed and colourful car. Pascal Bachmann took the start, and it is now Julian Darris at the wheel. Julian could pick his way through the order quite some way as well. He hasn't raced a GT3 car in quite a long time. He was talking to me about how exciting of an opportunity it was to be back at the wheel of a GT3 car this weekend. We don't expect it to be a permanent thing, the combination of Bachmann and Darris, or at least Julian doesn't, but as Pascal Bachmann's a little bit poorly at the moment, feeling a bit ill at the circuit, he decided he didn't want to do the full 70 minutes in what is quite a hot weekend at the Hungaroring.
Especially when you're in the cockpit as well, and you've got all the heat coming off the engine, not to mention the track surface as well. It all finds its way into your seat, so you know, for these drivers, it's very much what I would classify as a sweat box, really, at that point. But certainly a huge challenge. And, certainly Julian Darris will want to try and embrace it, that's for sure. But very soon, I'm sure we'll see the safety car come in. Currently still out, still deployed right now. But it's going on for quite some time. We've only got around about 9.5 minutes left in the race, so this could be a massive... I tell you what, Joe Osborne's really going to have to kick on if he does want that top step.
Yes, every passing lap it gets a little more difficult, doesn't it? 5-second time penalty to be added to the race time of the car number 63. So Benjahites now with a grand total of 15 seconds worth of penalty over his head, and that is because they had a short pit stop. So the time handicap has turned against them there. They didn't run the full length of their penalty. That's a huge shame for Polchini and Hites, who've really had the book thrown at them in this race. And, well, at the moment, if they were to drop 15 seconds, then that could be awful for them if it were to end under safety car, which I believe it won't. In fact, no, it won't, because safety car will be in this lap. But thankfully the race will be getting underway. But with the safety car in, with what, 7 minutes of racing to go, that's going to be a huge task for Benjamin Hites to have anything other than a really poor result with 15 seconds worth of penalty hanging over his head. The entire field is covered by 19 seconds behind the safety car at the moment, so this is going to be a huge challenge for Benjamin Hites. He's going to want to dispatch Janine Schaffner and try and get up the road, but that's so much easier said than done. Well, well, well. Safety car will be in this lap, so they've taken every precaution to get the car removed, and perhaps they had to check on the barriers as well, of course. That was Bear Armco that Rima Jafali's Mercedes went into at quite some speed, so maybe they had to check the structural integrity of the barriers also. Due diligence done by the team here at the Hungaroring, and we are now just a few moments away from racing. Safety car in this lap. Janine Schaffner is our race leader with just a few minutes left to go. The Mercedes AMG GT3 of the Get Speed organization. Get Speed Performance, who committed 3 cars this season to International GTOpen, and they've all been very competitive in their respective Pro-Am and Am classes. So Schaffner leading the field, and it will be her decision as to when we go racing. I believe she's already pulled the pin, and Benjahites already looking to try and find a way through. Janine Schaffner it is, though, who leads across the line as we go back to green flag conditions. Joe Osborne's already on the attack. He's side by side with Roman Zamian as they come across the line. It's Schaffner that leads as Hites go force the lead. Looks like he has. Later on the brakes in the Lamborghini, he's up to first place. Jesse Krohn is also making up positions in that BMW M4, side by side with Joe Osborne for 4th position. But it is Benjahites now who leads the way. Alan Valente has got up into 2nd place. So Valente now leading in Pro-Am for Team GT. And Janine Schaffner down to 3rd, side by side between Joe Osborne and Jesse Krohn, and both of them off onto the runoff area. Both cars live to fight another day, though. And Joe Osborne holds on to 4th place. He wasn't having any of it from Jesse Krohn on that occasion. Oh, a bit of a moment there for Valentin Heerberg, who's got off the circuit. Yellow flags down at turn 9. That's where Rima Jafali went off the circuit, but I don't think anyone would be down there. But yellow flag covering turn 9 for now. Here's a replay of the side-by-side between Joe Osborne and Jesse Krohn at turn 3. It's not often 2 cars go side by side through there and make it work, but make it work they did just about, albeit with liberal use of the runoff area. Jesse Krohn was trying to go around the outside at turn 2. He couldn't do it, so he cut to the inside. That, of course, became the outside line for turn 3. And Jesse did well to hold on to the car there. Janine Schaffner has been dispatched now by Osborne and indeed by Jesse Krohn. So he says leads the way, but of course he's got a cumulative 15 seconds worth of penalties hanging over his head. A 10-second start, a 10-second penalty for a start infringement, and a 5-second penalty for a short pit stop. As the 19 car goes up the inside, Janine Schaffner shuffled down by Glenn Van Berlo, and then behind is David Fuminelli. Fuminelli, who also has a penalty, of course. David Fuminelli trying to get to the inside there of Janine Schaffner. This is for 3rd place in Pro-Am as Fuminelli tries to find a way past Janine. And he will be keen to try and build himself a gap because he's got that 10-second penalty to consider in his own right. And both he and Murat Tradaroglu will be keen to finish as high up the Pro-Am order as possible after that penalty is applied. But Janine Schaffner not making it easy for Fuminelli. Oh, but she outbraked herself there into the chicane. And I think Fuminelli will get through as Jesse Krohn is trying to find a way around Joe Osborne. Glenn Van Berlo getting stuck in as well. What a scrap this is for 3rd place overall. The BMW's in Pro-Am. Both of the cars around it are in the Pro class. Of course, no mechanical differences, no BOP differences between the classes. So it's still a straight fight in terms of the machinery, and I'd say in terms of quality of driver as well. Joe Osborne from Jesse Krohn, from Glenn Van Berlo, and David Fuminelli is probably going to join in this scrap as well. And of course, as these guys fight, this could be huge for Benjahites, who continues to try and build his gap at the head of the order. He's definitely not going to get 15 seconds in the next 3.5 minutes, but anything will help at this stage. There's Osborne then up to 3rd overall. Jesse Krohn. I think part of the reason he's so keen to get around Joe Osborne is because Alan Valente is there ahead, and Jesse Krohn will feel he could have challenged for that Pro-Am win. Every moment he spends behind the McLaren of Joe Osborne, of course, also allows Alan Valente to get away, as Osborne has his elbows firmly out here to try and preserve an overall podium. Janine Schaffner remains in 7th overall at the moment. Roman Zamian is proving to be a roadblock down in 8th overall at this stage, which is to Janine's benefit. There's David Fuminelli. Fuminelli, who's so often a star performer, especially in qualifying. When he gets to qualify the car, it's often parked firmly on the front row of the grid. Here's a look at Jesse Kroon's onboards. This is a lap ago, going through turn 8. Tried to force a BMW-sized gap at 8. Almost got into the McLaren at turn 9. Very close quarters racing between Osborne and Jesse Kroon, and Joe Osborne did well to hold on to that slide as well. This has certainly been a dramatic race in the International GTOpen. A great start to our Hungaroring weekend. 2 safety car periods have really shaken up the race, as have the penalties applied to a couple of the leading cars. Ben Jahites, our race leader, but will drop 15 seconds at the end of the race. As it stands, that would put him down in the 12th place overall in the final standings if the checkered flag were waved now, and we are on the final lap, so we're not far away. Hites may well find himself outside the top 10. The 911 car has gained a penalty as well. 10-second penalty for causing a collision with Giuseppe Cipriani. So Sebastian Bode has also gained himself a penalty. Here's Alan Valente. We just got to look at him in second place overall. He is about to take a Pro-Am lead, a Pro-Am win, sorry, along with Florian Scholze. And of course, second overall as well. That will be heavily celebrated by the Team GT outfit. Their best result of the year so far, of course. That would make them the 3rd Pro-Am crew of the season to actually take a win. Around the final corners then comes Alan Valente. And of course, what I'm forgetting is that Hites has that 15-second penalty, so I'm talking about the overall podium. It's going to be an overall win for Alan Valente, of course, with that 15-second penalty applied. Valente crosses the line then. The invisible car of Hites crosses the line to win on the road, but the winner officially is Alan Valente. And what a day for Team GT then. An overall win and a Pro-Am win, all at the same time. Joe Osborne and Nick Moss will take second overall. Florian Scholze is going to be elated with that. He's going to have the top step in 2 consecutive podium ceremonies. He's going to have the Pro-Am win and the overall win to celebrate. We saw there the 007 car of Julian Darras off the circuit. Julian Darras has made an error there somewhere on the final lap of the race. And we're getting a look now at Darras trying to get around Stephen Earl, and oh dear. That was a little bit clumsy, and unfortunately that cost Stephen Earl a good number of positions. And I think it may have damaged the Street Art Aston Martin as well. Big shame that for the Doc, Stephen Earl and Erwin Zanotti, who ended up outside of the podium order in the AM class. But it's a jubilant day for Alan Valente and Florian Scholze, who take the overall win and the Pro-Am win in this race at the Hungaroring. Joe Moss, Nick Osborne taking second, and a debut podium for Jesse Kroon, along with Dennis Waszek and the Racing Trevor BMW outfit. Giardoni and Van Berlo taking 4th place, Janine Schaffner and Moritz Kranz in 5th. Yannick Mettler, Dexter Muller taking 6th position. Fran Rueda on his return to the championship, 7th overall. Ben Jahites eventually claiming 8th overall with that penalty. 9th and 10th to Zamian and Pierberg. The winners in the AM class, meanwhile, 12th overall. Martin Conrad and Alexander Krakowina. The Austrian duo in the man-filter Team Landgraf Mamba continuing to be the force to be reckoned with in the AM class. And let's see what that does to the championship then. 71 points for Hites and Polcini. They still lead the way, but Osborne and Moss are drawing closer, as are Gialdoni and Van Berlo. It's tied for second in the championship. The top three crews separated by just 5 points. It's becoming very compelling here in this title scrap between Oregon Team and Optimum Motorsport McLaren. But today, the celebrations will be firmly situated in the Team GT garage and awning. Bernard Laber was racing this car at the start of the year, the team owner of Team GT. It's now Florian Scholze, who's alongside Alan Valente. And well, they've just proven themselves to be a very effective combination. It's not often you see a Pro-Am car take the overall win, but that's exactly what we've seen today. Of course, the safety car period helped, but nonetheless, Valente and Scholze will be celebrating in a big way. There was Valente. Post the pictures, says Denis Vacek, along with Jesse Krohn. That'll be a jubilant team as well. Racing Trevor. We don't often see them at a major international level of competition, but Racing Trevor and BMW is a long-standing combination and one that often proves successful, so it's great to see that their success has crossed over now into International GTOpen. And conversations going on there. Team GT guys being sent off. They will soon have a word with our pit reporter Alfredo Filippone, who was greeting him there. Denis Vacek and Jesse Krohn take third overall and second in Pro-Am in the first ever race for a BMW M4 GT3 in International GTOpen. Nick Moss and Joe Osborne re-establish themselves in the championship hunt with a second position overall. Alan Valente and Florian Scholze, though, the Pro-Am win and the overall honours too.
Winners of race 1 at the Hungaroring, Alain Valente and Florian Scholze, in a race that was a little bit special. Let's start with Florian, who did the first stint. How were things?
Was really perfect this time. After my bad experience in Spa, I wanted to finish the race, so I was driving super carefully, just try to make no mistakes, and I think this was the best recipe to win this race.
Excellent result for Team GT, and second stint and all the safety cars, so things easier?
Yeah, I had quite a good outlap, then I could gain some time, and yeah, then when the safety car came, it was like driving behind quite long, but on the restart I could gain a place, and finally we could win a race, so very happy about it. Great job from Florian at the start, and all good, thanks.
And it was a couple of races we saw that it was coming. So well done, guys.
Thank you so much.
Und jetzt Champagne and podium. That way.
How could they're not used to the podium, clearly, having to get directions. So then the first race started with drama. Leo Polcini getting a really, really very good start off the line. It was later judged though, but it was maybe slightly too good. He jumped the gun and a 10-second penalty was the result. Everyone cleanly through the first couple of corners of the lap, and Polcini set about building a huge advantage. We then saw a rather peculiar spin for the Olymp Racing Audi. There were then many subsequent spins before the car ultimately came to a rest in turn 14. It turned out it was leaking oil at a heinous rate. It spun on its own oil several times. And that, of course, brought out our first safety car period. As the safety car period ended, the pit window began, and it was a very, very busy pit lane. Leo Polcini stayed out there, of course, to try and rebuild his advantage and build a bigger cushion for Ben Hites, who was set to take over the car. Here is the driver change. That was the pit stop as Hites took the car over. That pit stop, though, would be found out to be too long, and too short, I should say, and an additional 5-second penalty was applied. Rima Jafali with a crash And unfortunately, the number 18 FIBA Motorsport Mercedes will be not classified in today's results as a result of that one. Back from a second safety car period, and the racing was tight as Janine Schaffner tried to hold on to an overall podium. Unfortunately, ultimately, she couldn't quite do it. Alan Valente, though, held on to what became the victory. Ben Jahites was ahead of him on the road, but 15 seconds worth of penalties dropped the 63 Oregon Team Lamborghini down to 8th in the overall standings. So Alan Valente and Florian Scholze are on the top step.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
So there you go, that's our overall podium presentation here for Jesse Krohn and Dennis Vacek of Racing Trevor. Congratulations to them on this podium. Joe Moss and Nick Osborne. Sorry, got that the wrong way around. Nick Moss and Joe Osborne taking second place. Florian Scholze and Alan Valente, though, are winners here today. And they will also claim the spoils in the Pro-Am class, of course. So it's a huge day for Team GT. And the champagne is utilised immediately. And how ironic is it? As Nick Moss really goes for it. Of course, it was a collision between the Team GT Mercedes and the Optimum McLaren that took both cars out of the running at Spa. And now they're both on the top step of the top steps of the podium here at the Hungaroring. How things change from month to month in a racing paddock, eh? Best of friends now, of course, that they're both very successful in this first race at the Hungaroring. And you see there some of the other drivers getting ready for their podiums as well. Good to see Stanislav Jedlinski and Christian Korzanowski there. See the Pro-Am honours. Alfredo giving the heads up that there are more trophies to come, Team GT. And sure enough, we will of course see the Pro-Am podium in just a few moments, where once again Valente and Scholze will be on the top step. Janine Schaffner and Moritz Kranz, though, taking the third step of the podium as well as 5th overall. Great result for Janine and Moritz. Great to see Janine on the Pro-Am podium, I believe for the first time this year. Second place then for Jesse Krohn and Dennis Vacek within the Pro-Am category, and once again our winners in the Pro-Am class as well as overall, Alan Valente and Florian Scholze. A busy, busy day for the Team GT guys. And the podium presentations ongoing. More silverware and champagne incoming, and Florian Scholze is having to work very hard to hold on to his Michelin branding, and I wonder if that might prove to be a disadvantage in a champagne fight. I reckon it could be. So let's see how that goes for him in a few moments' time. But there is your Pro-Am podium. 2 Mercedes and a BMW on the Pro-Am podium this weekend. And here we go with the champagne. And the celebrations, I reckon Janine's going to really go for it with the champagne, and indeed she does. Target number 1 being Moritz Kranz, of course. Great stuff. They are a very friendly pair in the paddock, Moritz and Janine. Both very much hardened racers from years at the Nürburgring, and Moritz Kranz trying to establish himself through LMP and GT3 racing as a driver that's handy just about anywhere. And we're seeing more and more of that. So the AM class podium is coming up next. And here comes the AM podium then, and here we see the Olymp Racing team. At least one of their cars will be on the AM podium. There's Kiki Saknana and Adam Osaka on the podium in AM for the second time in as many races. That's a great result for them. Second place in AM, of course, going to Christian Koznovsky and Stanislav Jedlinski. Jedlinski Sr. getting a well-deserved AM class podium this weekend. On the top step once again, though, the all-dominant Austrians, Martin Conrad and Alexander Rakovina for the Manfilter Team Landgraf guys, wearing the famous Mamba colours, of course, the Manfilter Mamba machines, infamous as they are across the GT racing landscape. Martin Conrad continuing his trophy collection year, as it were, an overall winner earlier this year at the Bathurst 12-hour, and once again proving to be a dominant force in the AM category, as he has proven to be on many occasions. Kiki Saknana was trying to get out of his picture being taken. He's definitely getting out of the champagne. Run, Kiki, run! The celebrations for the AM class runners, the AM class winners here in the Hungaroring. Great racing from all. Let's, though, head off for now. We'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you join in for more action-packed racing at the Hungaroring.